So, you bought the Ninja Slushie machine, but every recipe you found needs a pound of sugar just to taste good? Today, I'm testing 4 fruit slushies with nothing else added to see which ones actually work. I'll blend 1 ingredient slushies using watermelon, pineapple, blueberries, and grapes, then rank them on texture and flavor so you know which ones taste great and which ones turn icy and bland, so you can stop wasting time and money on recipes that just don't work. Starting with watermelon, which feels like it's guaranteed to work. It's juicy, it's sweet, and it's mostly water. But is it too watery to slush properly? This is about 1/3 of a large watermelon, and I'm just gonna throw a bunch of it into a blender. We do only need 16 ounces of liquid, but I'm not sure how much this watermelon is gonna blend down into liquid, so let's fill up the blender entirely. And now let's blend it up. That blended up pretty easily and it looks really smooth. I don't even see any of the watermelon seeds inside of there. So now all we have to do is open the lid on the slushie and pour this in. Let's see if any of it gets stuck in the top there or if it goes down pretty smoothly. And so far, it's looking pretty perfect. I'm not seeing any liquid, any seeds, any chunks get stuck while I'm pouring this. Yeah, no clogs, pretty much as easy as it gets to start a slushie here. And we're pretty significantly over the 16-ounce line. I'd say we're making about 32 ounces. And considering this whole bowl is only 1/3 of a watermelon, I think I could probably make 10 times this much liquid in total. Now let's turn it on, and I'm just gonna hit the slush setting and let it do its thing. And we'll see how long it takes to freeze and what it actually looks like after it's frozen. Just over 20 minutes later, the watermelon slushie is ready. Let's see how it looks. So first off with dispensing, and all right, it's actually dispensing pretty quickly. Sometimes these come out a little slow. It's not too fast, but it's manageable. And the texture looks absolutely perfect. Here's a good look of it while it's on a spoon, so you can kind of see the thickness here. And while I can't flip it upside down fully, it definitely is nice and thick and ready to drink. But now for the taste test. Does it taste like watermelon or just like water? It's just thin enough where I can drink it with a straw still, but thick enough where it tastes like a slushie. And for the flavor, it's not as strong as just biting a piece of watermelon. It does lose a little bit of that strong kind of flavor that you get from watermelon, but it's very, very good, super refreshing, absolutely delicious. Now, I might be a little bit biased here because watermelon is my favorite fruit, but for texture, I'm going 10 out of 10. It is my ideal slushie texture, and for flavor, I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. Pineapple should slush up a little bit thicker than watermelon, but does that mean it's gonna be too thick to actually turn into a slushie? We're starting with the same process here. I'm just throwing an entire pineapple into my blender. I've already got it kind of cut up into pineapple rings. And this is a full pineapple, so I'm expecting quite a bit less juice than our full watermelon. So I've got a full pineapple inside of here. Let's try blending it up. Now, unsurprisingly, no issues with the blending. It already looks really smooth and creamy and definitely thicker than our watermelon juice. And weirdly, it looks way more orange than like store-bought pineapple juice that you would typically see. But let's get it poured into here. I'm not expecting any clogging once again, even though it is definitely thicker. So let's make sure it all goes down. And actually on the top here, I do kind of have to help down some of it because of how thick this pineapple juice is, how foamy it's kind of turned out. Also inside of here, it's not really filling out the container super well. There's definitely more than 16 ounces by the look of it back here, but then at the front, none of it's really making it there right now. I turned it on rinse mode here just to kind of even it out, which basically just spins it in circles. And now we are definitely over this 16-ounce line, so I think we've got enough liquid. Let's get this closed up, and once again, run it on slush mode. And once again, we'll see how long this takes and what the texture looks like when it finishes. We're about 30 minutes later. The pineapple slushie now looks to be done, with one thing to note. About 10 to 15 minutes into making the slushie, the machine started to beep at me. I don't think there was enough liquid for it to actually start freezing into a slushie, so I poured in about 4 to 6 ounces of water. Now, yes, I could have poured more pineapple into it instead, but I already used an entire pineapple, and I feel like if I had to use 2 pineapples to make 1 slushie, that's just excessive, so I went with water. But now let's see how the texture is. Ooh, okay. Actually pouring way faster than the watermelon. It looks a little bit more runny, which I guess makes sense because of the added water. Although on a spoon, we kind of have roughly the same thickness, maybe just slightly less thick. But now, let's taste test. Once again, I think the thickness of this is absolutely perfect for a slushie. However, this one is really foamy when you drink it compared to the watermelon slushie, which was a very smooth liquid. Maybe a little bit less blending would have gotten rid of some of that foaminess, but overall, I don't really enjoy the texture of the foam. The flavor is a little bit of a watered down, but overly sour pineapple is kind of what I'm getting. I like it less than just actually eating a pineapple. So overall, I'm gonna give the texture a 6 out of 10. I think the thickness was perfect. The foaminess is just not it. And I'm gonna go 3 out of 10 on the flavor. I don't even think I'm gonna finish this 1 cup of it. Blueberries pack a ton of flavor in such a small fruit, so this should taste great. But will the skins and seeds ruin the texture? This is an entire carton, a small one, of blueberries, and honestly, I'm not sure if that'll be enough. So I'm gonna throw in 2 total cartons of blueberries. And as always, let's get this blended up. And literally about 4 seconds later, you can see the texture that I was concerned about, all those seeds and skins still inside of there. So my first thought is it might just clog inside of the slushie itself. Let's go ahead and pour and hope for the best. And it's definitely backing up a little bit, but I do think it's all making it through eventually, just a little bit slower. Even with all this texture differences, I didn't have to help it too much on the top here, other than the last couple drops I'll kind of help down. And I'm glad I did 2 cartons of blueberries because we are just barely over that 16 ounces. Let's run this one on slush and hope it comes out well. It's now 20 minutes later. Our blueberry slushie just beeped at us. Let's look at the texture. I was looking at it seconds before it beeped and thought that it looked nowhere like a slushie, but I guess if you look close enough, it kind of does. Let's see what it looks like dispensing. I mean, it's pretty liquidy to me, but the machine did tell us it was ready, so probably not gonna slush any more than this. And on the spoon, it is a little bit thicker than it looks like while it's dispensing. However, it's definitely not slushy consistency. It almost looks like a blueberry syrup for like pancakes. But how does it taste? It tastes like a syrup as well. It's definitely not the consistency of a slushie. Flavor-wise though, it absolutely smacks you in the face with blueberries. And I actually really like the flavor. It actually tastes just like the blueberry syrup you'd put on pancakes, so the look and the taste match up pretty well. Overall, I'm gonna have to go 4 out of 10 on the texture because it did not freeze like a slushie. However, it is smooth. The seeds and the skins aren't really messing with the texture at all. And for flavor, I'm gonna go 6 out of 10. It doesn't really feel like something I can drink a ton of, but give me some breakfast food and I'll throw this on it any day. Grapes make the most common juice out of these 4 fruits, but will that help us with a slushie or just give us something that tastes like watered down grape juice? This is a couple pounds of grape, I think 2 or 3 pounds, and I'm basically just gonna fill the blender with them. And always, let's blend it up. And immediately our consistency is looking really good, maybe a little bit foamy again, but let's pour it into the top. Hopefully none of those skins end up getting clogged into here, but no, it's looking super smooth, kind of like our watermelon. And yeah, absolutely no clogging at all. Super easy to pour, super easy to blend. And we're getting probably like 50 ounces of juice from this from just maybe 2 or 3 pounds of grapes. So let's turn this on slush for one final time and we'll see how this one turns out. About 25 minutes later, our grape slushie is ready. I'm excited to try this one, except for some reason the color turned a little bit gross looking, but let's see how it dispenses. Uh-oh, it's looking pretty runny, kind of like thick chunks in there too. It almost looks like it just didn't freeze, kind of similar to our blueberries. And on a spoon, I mean, it's got a little bit of thickness going for it, but most importantly, let's taste test. From a texture perspective, I'm actually getting a lot of the skins of the grapes, and so it's really not a smooth drinking experience at all. And it definitely is more like a juice than a slushie once again. But flavor-wise, I really like it. I think it actually tastes better than just eating grapes normally from a flavor perspective. So for a texture, I honestly have to go 1 out of 10. I really do not enjoy the texture at all. But for flavor, I'm gonna go 10 out of 10. So I think if you were to mix grapes with something else that'll help it turn more into a slushie, this could be the start of something special. So now that you know which fruits slushie on their own, what about slushies that taste good with 0 grams of sugar? In this video, I tested 4 sugar-free slushie recipes and compared them with a Slurpee from 7-Eleven.